and welcome to West Country Wanderings, and welcome to my monthly vlog. I can't believe we're here in autumn, and I'm here for the month of October here in Worcestershire. In actual fact, I'm in the village of Inkberrow. And the reason I decided on Inkberrow today, apart from the fact it's a beautiful, quiet village which is really suited doing filming and lots of pieces to camera, telling about the channel, and also the interesting things about this fascinating little village here in the heart of Worcestershire, is the fact that the BBC are just about to celebrate 100 years of their existence. And this village here in Worcestershire has a direct connection to the history of the BBC, and I'll tell you all about it later in today's video. I also thought today that I'd mix the format up a little bit. I thought rather than just telling you all about this place where I am first and then telling all about the channel, I'll swap and change. So I'll tell you a little bit about the village, then we'll have a look at some things that have been happening on the channel and what's coming up in the future and some shout outs, and then tell you some more about the village and break it up to try and make it a little bit more interesting for you here today. So I hope you can join me here from Inkberrow in Worcestershire. Okay, so first I'll just tell you about where we are. We're about 10 miles to the east of the city of Worcester. We're actually just off the main road between Worcester and Stratford-upon-Avon in Warwickshire. So we're in the heart of the county here, as I say, just away from the capital city of this beautiful county here, Worcestershire. Although it's not actually in the southwest, it lies in the West Midlands, so it's definitely western part of England. And obviously, if you're not familiar with this part of the world, it's the next county up from Gloucestershire county, along from Herefordshire, and also it lies to the west of the county of Warwickshire. It's between the cities, the bigger cities. If you think of big urban areas, it's below the city of Birmingham and to the north of the city of Bristol. So that's kind of where we are today. It's quite a small village. I'm in the grounds of the churchyard at the moment with this beautiful backdrop around me. We have two pubs here. One of them is absolutely fascinating, but also has another interesting pub as well. It has remains of a castle too. And there's some interesting things that have happened here in the past, and also you've got that big connection to the BBC to tell you about as well. But yeah, a beautiful day here. So it's towards the end of the month. I'm trying to get this one in now and fit it in before we come to the end of the month. This month's gone so quickly. I've been hampered a little bit this month by some bad weather. It's been raining quite a bit. And today though, I couldn't have asked for better weather here to do my monthly vlog. So the first video that landed on my channel for this month of October was in the county of Somerset, and it was in a small village called Kilmersdon. Now, I'd actually never heard of Kilmersdon before I decided to do a video there. And it all happened by chance. I often dip into railway forums to see what's happening in terms of heritage railways, in terms of history, that sort of thing. And I can't remember what the specific forum was. I think it was to do with like the Trans-Wilts Railway. And they also mention on there to do with the Somerset and Dorset. And I know lots of you watch my channel are interested in the old Somerset and Dorset. It went from the old Bath Green Park station, which I was actually at yesterday, first time I saw that, down towards Bournemouth. Of course, that's now long gone. And not far from Kilmersdon, there was a railway line that ran through the village. And we started that video off there, but that wasn't the reason for that video. It was to do with the looking for the history of a very famous nursery rhyme. And of course that nursery rhyme was Jack and Jill. And it was in that railway forum, this gentleman happened to mention that Kilmersdon, as I say, which I'd never heard of, was where Jack and Jill Hills was. And I'm thinking, how can it possibly be anything to do with the nursery rhyme? But when you go there, you actually see these stones which go all the way up the hill, extend right up this footpath towards where the school is. And when you get to the top of the hill, the delights don't end there, because at the very top of the hill you have this fantastic well right in the grounds of the school, but it's there right just off the footpath, and have these brilliant slate plaques which tell you all about the nursery rhyme too. I couldn't believe it, because on YouTube there's nothing about the Jack and Jill nursery rhyme in relation to the village there at all. And that video has done really well on my channel. But yeah, I was just spellbound to see that it was actually directly related to Jack and Jill. Now, I'm just outside the church here, and it's dedicated to St. Peter. According to my notes I found out online, there is a chapel in there dedicated to the Savage family. In 2006, Inkberrow won the Worcestershire Best Village in the County competition, and I can certainly see why. It looks like it has a great community spirit. All of the beds and the footpaths are very well maintained. In the 1960s, there was a plan to build a new town here, like Basildon, Yate, all sorts of places. Ugh, horror. That would have kind of ruined it completely. Now, there has been some new development of estates just to the south of the village, but it doesn't really spoil the centre, the heart, the real historic centre of the village at all. And you don't really notice them there. It hasn't spoiled. It's really in keeping, but it's certainly not a new town by any means. There is a millennium area. Now, I'm not sure exactly what they mean by that from my notes, but from what I've seen, there was a castle here originally and a moat in that direction, so we'll go and investigate that shortly, and a pond with a wildlife area and orchard down in that direction, so we'll have a look at that here as well. Well, this village just keeps getting better and better. This is Millennium Green. It's actually some 3 hectares, about 8 acres, that was open to the public in June of 2000. And I'm standing right here by this moat, which was part of a former medieval farm here in Inkberrow in Worcestershire. So the second video on my channel this month was a canal one of my canal series, one of 2 canal series video this month, and it was at Semmington in Wiltshire. In fact, it was at the site of Semmington Locks on the Kennet and Avon Canal, and it's also the point where the Wiltshire and Berkshire Canal connects up to the Kennet and Avon. Well, I say connects up, it did connect up there. Of course, that was an alternative route of the TNS, which went up through the North Wilts to meet the TNS at Latten. But beautiful spot there, particularly inspired by that dock there, where they restore narrowboats, and there was a beautiful narrowboat sat outside on the canal. You've also got that impressive new aqueduct that was built in 2004 by Wiltshire County Council. I love making that video. It only took me a couple of hours or so, but it was a nice spot there just to relax and enjoy the canal scenery. Now, I've just been looking around at other parts of this Millennium Green, and the villagers are really proud of it, rightfully proud of it. It's fantastic, and you don't often get this amount of green public space anymore. You have parks and playing fields, but here the sheep are grazing. We have orchards over there as well, and we have this. I'll just move the camera. I can't believe this. The villager told me about this. You know, I do have an interest in fungi, mosses and that sort of thing. When I do my woodland updates, I have never ever seen anything like this. Take a look. Now, this here is a giant puffball. I've read about them and seen them. I've seen photographs of books. I mean, I know obviously they're big, but in the photographs I've seen, I've never seen one this big. It's slightly starting to shrink now, and it looks a little bit battered. Perhaps there's sheep grazing in this field here, this pasture. But this is extraordinary. I'll do some closer shots for you and put up some subtitles and information about puffballs too. Now, the third video on my channel this month was a Cornish road trip. Yes, one in my Cornwall series. And obviously, living in Gloucester, it's not always possible to go to Cornwall and Devon as frequently as I would like. In fact, in the summer period, it's very difficult with the M5 jammed solid and trains equally jammed solid. Now, before I mention about the third video, a little bit more detail, just to tell you, next month coming up in November, I am planning to stay away for a few days in Cornwall while it's quieter. Fingers crossed, weather will be okay, not too bad. You can never predict what the weather's going to do at any time of the year. And I hope to bring you some railway videos there, and also looking at the tin mine industry and some coastline and beaches too. That'll be coming up in November, so I'm really excited about that. And I'll be doing some of those on my own, some of them with my daughter as well. So the Cornwall one, that was also with my daughter. I went down to Liskeard, and then we went on, first of all, to the Bodmin and Wenford Steam Railway. This has been in existence since the early 80s, after the China Clay Line closed up to Wenford Bridge. And you have a variety of traction on there. They have a huge diesel restoration depot at Bodmin, and another depot down by the Cornish main line at Bodmin Parkway. And we took a trip on the train down to Bodmin Parkway, filmed some of that. Really, really picturesque line, with a lovely station at Bodmin General right in the heart of the town there. But that wasn't all in that video. We then went on further towards the St Austell direction, looking for one of the old China clay lines, and we certainly found something. It was near, not the most picturesque of locations, not as picturesque as where I am today for sure, because it was near an incinerator, but you could make out lots of the remnants of the line there. And I'd be hoping to do some more railway series where we're looking for remnants line, not just preserved heritage lines like Gloucestershire, Warwickshire, Dean Forest, but the other ones coming up on the channel soon. Now, I hope and try to bring you picturesque and interesting places here on West Country Wanderings, and this place here, Inkberrow, certainly doesn't disappoint. It's beautiful. It's a 5-star location. It's absolutely stunning. This Millennium Green is the icing on the cake. Now, I have actually a fellow YouTuber to thank, but I had been planning to come here for a little while, and I had kind of lodged on my brain, Inkberrow, Worcestershire. It was in there to do. And it was because a gentleman called Roy Edwards, who this morning has just posted a video about a classic car meetup that was held on Sunday here, just outside the Old Bull pub by the village green, that prompted me to do it. And I did a little bit more research, thought, is that going to be suitable for a monthly vlog? Looked at it, thought, yes, definitely. Nice quiet place, lovely village, the sort of place I really like doing. Hope you're enjoying it too. Hello. You can keep me company. Now I've got company on the chat now. I have a sheep with me. That's never happened before. It seems to be quite placid here. I'm in the Millennium seat. We've got a lovely star in the centre here, and it says Inkberrow 2000 on the seat, and it got a lovely view down towards the moat, all the trees, and we've got some fantastic apple and pear trees. The lady, the villager I spoke to, she said these are quite rare Worcestershire species here, so we'll have a look at those in a bit. Before we do any of that, I'll tell you more about the connection to the BBC here in Inkberrow. So what's the connection to Inkberrow and the BBC? Well, about 4 or 5 months ago, I did a monthly vlog, also in Worcestershire, more of a canal one actually, on the Droitwich Canal, not the Droitwich Barge Canal, the Droitwich Union or Junction Canal, where it links up with Worcester, Birmingham. And I went to a place called Hanbury. In fact, we also had a visit to Hanbury Hall in that video too. And there, the church at Hanbury has a connection to this same thing that the place does here in Inkberrow. And I'm sure you've guessed it by now. Yes, it's the world's longest running soap opera. It's The Archers, of course. And the pub here, the Old Bull in Inkberrow, was the inspiration for the start of this very long running soap opera, which aired initially as 5 pilot episodes in 1950 and aired properly in New Year's Day 1951. Now, the original concept for The Archers was to actually improve the agricultural knowledge of people working on the land and farms after the decimation of the Second World War. But embryonically, it then widened its appeal. It wasn't just for people that were involved in the agricultural community. Of course, we are in a deeply agricultural environment still here, thankfully, in Worcestershire. But look, obviously the nature of that agriculture and farming has changed dramatically since that launch back in 1951. And now it has a very wide appeal. It is the most popular programme on radio, BBC Radio 4. It has some between 4 and 5 million people that tune into it every single week. Now in the programme, of course, it's not called Inkberrow, it's called Ambridge. And it's not Worcestershire, it's Dorsetshire, which is a kind of an amalgamation of Warwickshire and Worcestershire. So it's loosely based in this area between here and Stratford, this very rural area here between those two counties, which used to be actually part of the Feckenham Forest, which was an ancient land. It wasn't all forest, but it was land which was for the landed gentry, lots of deer, of course, and parks, and it was known to have the toughest draconian laws in enforcing anybody that was poaching on the land there. There were riots, I think it was in the 16th century, I put the date below, when they started deforesting Feckenham Forest. There are only 3 or 4 spots of the original ancient forest left around the Worcestershire and Warwickshire areas. And again, I'll drop the names of those bits, sections where you can go and see the original parts of Feckenham in there. But yeah, so it's Ambridge in Worcestershire, which obviously is completely fictitious, but a lot of the inspiration was from this beautiful village of Inkberrow here in Worcestershire. Now the reason I decided to bring that into context with my monthly vlog is because the BBC are about to celebrate next month, November, their 100 years. They've been going 100 years since 1922, and obviously The Archers is one of the most prolific long-running programmes on the BBC. So I thought it was appropriate to bring you here to Inkberrow to tell you about the connection to the BBC on my monthly vlog here today. So here we have some pear varieties in the Millennium Orchard here in Inkberrow. I'm not sure what this is going to taste like, so I'm just going to give it a try. That's perhaps not fully ripe, but it certainly has a really nice sweet flavour to it. Really, really nice. We're going to try one of the apples in a bit too, because they're just dropping on the floor. It's not like I'm stealing them, because they're really, really good. Bits of fruit here in the Millennium Orchard. Before I go on to tell you about the next video on my channel for the month of October, I just wanted to share with you one of the successes I had in terms of I passed a significant milestone, and you probably recognise what that was. And it was the fact I passed over into the 1000 club. So I now have 1,000 subscribers. It's now 1,069. Essentially doesn't mean anything in terms of the channel. Nothing's changing at all in how I do things on the channel. It'll still be focusing on walks and railways, canals, countryside, nature, all those type of things, beaches as we get into Devon and Cornwall, of course. But all those sort of things, nothing's going to change. I will probably monetize the channel at some point next year, so that it'll probably start with like an advert or two at the start. You probably, if you're viewing it on YouTube, if you're not actually a YouTube member, you probably already get adverts, but I don't actually get revenue from that at this current time. But say, I do like to give out a really, really big thank you if you've subscribed to my channel. I thank you for that. I really, really do appreciate it. And say it's really a pleasure to be actually bring you this content to you here on West Country Wanderings. Now I've got an apple. This is really nice. It's not bitter or tart at all. It's got a kind of a slightly cidery flavour to it. It's very nice. I'm not sure what Worcestershire variety this is, but it's one of the classic varieties. Sad that the floor beneath me, where I'm standing, the ground, the grass, is covered in apples. People haven't been picking them. I've come across this. There's a community orchard in a village not far from where I live in Gloucestershire with the same, and nobody seems to be going out picking them. It just seems such sad that we live in times where food's obviously very expensive in the supermarkets, but people don't seem to be making use of their community orchards, because the flavour of these, like I've said before on other videos, it's just, you don't get that in supermarket apples at all. It's really, really good. That's tremendous. Really enjoying that. Now the fourth video on my channel was something completely different. It was a YouTubers meetup in Shrewsbury. I'd done the Severn Way, more about that in a bit. And a little while ago, a lady called Alice Goss, who runs a YouTube channel over in the eastern parts, away at my area, the eastern part around Essex area. She looks at really good videos on history. I've dropped the link of her channel in the description of this video. Arranged a meetup for some other YouTubers. We also had Wandering with Watto there, and also Kim's Picks, as well as Mike and Teresa Travels. And I'd never met these people before, apart from just corresponding them with comments in the YouTube comments section, as you do. And also, with my autism and everything, anxiety, I was really nervous meeting these bunch of strangers, essentially, in this park in Shrewsbury. But I needn't have worried, because they're a really great bunch of people. And we got on tremendously and had great fun. Although there wasn't a plan to go around Shrewsbury in any particular way, we had great fun doing and uncovering some of the history of that fascinating town, which I just love. I love that town. We certainly were getting some strange looks from people. As we're vlogging, we were filming each other vlogging and talking into cameras and phones and stuff all the way around the town, and getting some strange looks from the local people and visitors to the town as we did so. But there's safety in numbers, as they say, and we really enjoyed and didn't take any notice of people looking at you. And I do, as you know, feel very self-conscious of vlogging in busy urban areas, but because you're with a bunch of other people doing the same thing, you tend to relax, and that was a great thing to do. And we're going to be doing another one in the springtime next year. Don't know where that'll be. I will bring you the news on that as soon as that happens soon. But yeah, great fun. So don't forget to check out Mike and Teresa's Travels, Wandering with Watto, Kim's Picks and Alice's Goss channels. And she also has a travel one as well. Forgotten the exact name of it. I'll drop that in below as well. And the links to all those videos will be in the description of today's monthly vlog here. Now, it's good to see they planted some new trees here as well in the Millennium Green. That you've got some shrubs over there, and also there's blackberries over there. So there's some smaller trees. The tree behind me has been an oak tree, and I presume that was planted back in 2000. So that's 22 years old now, so it's starting to get bigger. Obviously it's got a lot more growing to do, another probably 50, 100 years till it's fully grown. But yeah, it's really good to see that. And this is just a wonderful bit, isn't it? Oh, wow, fabulous. So the next video was Severnway 10, when I left the town, beautiful town of Shrewsbury, towards the little village of Atcham and its two bridges. Like I say, it's going to get trickier doing the 7 ways as we get into the winter months. I am hoping to do part 11 tomorrow. So as you see this, I'm not sure whether part 11 will arrive before the end of the month. So 7 way 11 may or may not arrive before this monthly vlog, if that makes sense. If it's going to arrive before this monthly vlog, then the title card for it, the thumbnail as we call it, will appear now. If it's not appearing, then you'll probably have to wait another couple of days for it to land on my channel. But I am enjoying the 7 way. As I say, it is taking a little bit more time to do, because obviously I'm trying to fit in other things and other aspects to my life as well. So it'll be, I say, sometime next year before I get into the heart of the city of Bristol. But I'm savouring it as well. It's not something you can hurry over, and I say we're averaging about 10 or 11 miles on each section as we go. But the next section, which may not take us to Ironbridge, I think last time I said it'd be to Ironbridge, it'll probably go to Buildwas Abbey instead, because Ironbridge is a little bit of a too long a stretch. Although it's comfortable to do that if you're just walking it solely, I need to film it as well, and there's so much content around Ironbridge. Now, this part of Millennium Green is home to a flower-rich grassland. Now, these are incredibly rare in Great Britain nowadays. In fact, Worcestershire is home to the remaining 20% of flower-rich grasslands, mouthful that, isn't it, left in Great Britain. So it's always good to see them in and around the county, and we have come across a couple of them before. In the springtime, this grassland here is rich in flowers like field scabious and cowslips, amongst many others. Also, it attracts rarer butterflies like the marbled white too. Now, before I mention what the next video was, I just wanted to give out a few shout outs. These are to people that regularly contribute on my channel, and I may have mentioned 1 or 2 of them before, I'm not sure, but I'm including them now because they're not ones I tend to mention too often, and possibly they haven't been mentioned before, but they have put some lovely comments in during the month of October, so thank you very much. The first gentleman is a gentleman called Des Byrne, who used to live in Gloucestershire. I think he's been away, or he's been catching up on my videos anyway. He's been doing some other things, but hi Des, welcome back to the channel, Looking at My Views, and thank you very much for that lovely heartfelt comment on my mental health video, which I'll mention more about in a bit. Another YouTuber is one actually I think I got from my Twitter account. It doesn't happen too often, but a gentleman called Marcel Potter, particularly interested in my canal series. I'm Marcel, most welcome here on West Country Wanderings. I will of course be bringing some more canal content soon in November, but thank you for your lovely comments on my canal videos. I really appreciate it. Another one is a channel called Today's World. Thank you very much for your lovely comments. You've put in a few this month. I really do appreciate that. And another YouTube channel, The Right Life Travel Vlog. Thank you for your lovely comments too. And finally for this month, John Warboys. I may have mentioned John before, but he often contributes comments on my channel after watching my videos. Lovely comments. I really do appreciate that, John. Thank you very much. So thank you if you've commented at all on my videos this month. Also thank you if you've liked it, shared it, or indeed just watched them. It all makes a difference and all helps to me to bring you new content in the future. So thanks very much. Now, before I mention the next video, I don't know if you can see that hill there. It's kind of a flat-topped hill. I think, but I'm not 100% certain, that is where the moat and the remains are of Inkberrow Castle, but I can't confirm it because it's not indicated on the OS map, and I can't seem to find any more information online. If you are familiar with this part of Worcestershire, particularly the immediate area surrounding Inkberrow, and you know anything about Inkberrow Castle, drop a comment below if you know that that is the castle, where the castle was. So I'm standing at the top of the Millennium Green, the high point where all the fruit trees are and the new trees that have been planted. I'm looking across in a southerly direction, wouldn't it? That'll be just down there. I'll see if I can drop a map in of showing you where that is on the OS map. But yeah, I think that's where it is. It looks very similar to the one on the slopes of Breedon Hill, Elmley Castle. And like Elmley Castle, which I found out after I tried to make a video there, there is no public right of way, so I can't go across there to show you anything of it, but I'm pretty certain that's where it was in that area. I thought it was something to do with the moat you can see on the map, but that's not. That was actually just a medieval farm here in Millennium Green area. Now, the most viewed video for the month of October on my channel was, yes, you guessed it, a canal series one. Before I mention about that though, just an interesting thing that's happened. Up until now, all of my most viewed videos have been canal ones, but there's one that's just slotted into the top slot on my channel. It's crept up slowly and then it's just gone past a couple of weeks. It's gone absolutely bananas. So the most viewed video on my channel now, I think it's almost at 7,000 views, is a railway series one. And it's actually not even in the West Country Wanderings area. It's to the east of the city of Oxford, so it's kind of outside really. And it was one that I was undetermined whether I was going to do or not because of its location. And that's the one on the Bicester Military Railway. Now, I can't remember who suggested I cover the Bicester Military Railway, but whoever you were, thank you very much, because that is now my most viewed video on my channel. And if you've watched that video, thanks very much. I really do appreciate it because it's been really taking off. Anyway, I digress. The most viewed video on my channel was the Stroudwater and Thames and Severn Canals update number 11. I know that's all a mouthful, isn't it? But it was the one where we looked at, yes, Sapperton Tunnel. I think it's about 550 heading up to 600 views as I record this today, towards the end of October. Yeah, so that was, I've been putting that one off to do because I was getting myself in a bit of a state, to be honest, about the overwhelming amount of history to do with the Sapperton Tunnel. And I knew it just had to be right because I knew a lot of people would take a big interest in the Sapperton Tunnel. So judging by the views and the comments so far, I seem to have done it okay. But yeah, thank you very much if you've watched that. I enjoyed doing it. Once I got there, my anxiety levels dropped and I really enjoyed there. I'd never actually been in front of those portals, the Coates Portal and the Daneway Portal before. And there's a tremendous sense of stillness there where you're standing by those portals, just thinking about the engineering of the people from the past that had dug that out of the ground by their hand. It's just an incredible engineering achievement to have done that. And as I said in the video, it'd be wonderful to see that tunnel completely restored and narrowboats going on the Thames and Severn Canal once again. I'm now standing in the centre of what was the medieval farm of some 800 years ago. And what's spectacular about this Millennium Green, it gives you an indication of the original ridge and furrow system. And you can see it by the landscape and the terrain of this Millennium Green. And that ridge and furrow actually dates back some 600 years. Now, Worcestershire is a hotspot of places where there are medieval moats and medieval farm systems. There are some 150 recorded in the county here, and this is a really, really good example. And it's wonderful of Inkberrow to have managed to save it as part of a Millennium project 22 years ago. But I highly recommend a visit to Inkberrow. If you do come here, if you're not actually going into the pub, the Old Bull itself, don't use their car park. There is a church car park, and then you can go up and have a look at the church. So if you go past the pub, you've got the pub on the right-hand side, keep going down the lane, and there's a turning on the right. It says quiet lane. Turning on the right, there's a car park, large car park in there. And then you can walk up to have a look at the pub, the village green, everything else. But obviously, have a look at the pub as well and use their facilities to support the local pubs, because local pubs really, really do need support. Obviously, with the current economic situation, highly recommend the pub. And so there's the other one across the road, the Old Bull, as well as the bull on the opposite side of the road as well. The other thing I wanted to say before I wrap today's video up by just mentioning the last few videos that have been on the channel is that I'd like to thank the people here of Inkberrow. I bumped into a couple of villagers, really, really friendly people in this village, and thank you for using your fantastic Millennium Green here today. It's been an absolute pleasure filming here today. Frustratingly, I bumped into a few people recently when I've been out filming, and they've been interested in what I've been doing. I haven't had any card to give them, like a business card with the name of my channel. And obviously, when you say to somebody the name of the channel, by the time they get home and think, what was that guy's channel's name? They've probably forgotten. So I've now just got some business card printers. They should be arriving tomorrow. So when I am out and about, and I do often bump into people, and they do generally seem interested, particularly in rural areas, less so in urban areas, what you're doing, and in a nice, genuine way. And it's always nice just to give them a card, just say, well, yeah, this is the channel that I run, and this is kind of things that I film. But thank you for the people of Inkberrow here. It's been really lovely filming here today. I then had a trip down to Devon, Devon Series 1. It was a short bite photography one to the city of Devon, the self-proclaimed regional capital of the southwest. That's how it says if you drive in. I've seen the signs there saying drive in. But either way, it is the administrative capital of Devon. What really struck me about my tour there, my photographic tour, was that iron bridge. Now, I've been to Exeter a few times and seen obviously the Cathedral Green, and I didn't actually show you that in the video for deliberate reasons, because it's been shown on videos of Exeter. In other words, it's just been absolutely done many, many times over on YouTube. So I thought, although that is nice and the cathedral is really, really interesting, filming there is difficult. You have to get a special permit. It's obviously a very busy place as well. So I thought I'd leave out Cathedral Green in the cathedral and concentrate on other aspects, particularly obviously the Exeter Ship Canal, the first canal in Great Britain. I thought that would be interesting, obviously, particularly for with viewers on my channel. I then went back to my favourite part of everything I cover on my channel, and like I say in the video, I really love Cornish coves and Devon moors and places in Somerset and the Cotswolds in Gloucestershire and Worcestershire. But for me, the ultimate part of the area that I feel really fortunate to bring you on the channel on West Country Wanderings is the Malvern Hills. And they are, I think, a little bit understated. They don't get the glamour of like the Cornish beach, some of those beaches like down at Porthcurno with the white sand. They've been Instagrammed loads and loads of times over, places like Bourton on the Water in the Cotswolds. They get loads and loads of tourists. People obviously go to Worcestershire Beacon, Herefordshire Beacon at peak times, but for the most part, if you're walking in the Malvern Hills, you have pretty much all of it to yourself. Beautiful place to walk. It's not too strenuous. There is a little bit of steepness in places, but once you've got up the hill at the top, you're rewarded with stunning views. And I was really, really overjoyed to have brought you that on such a sunny day in October, with really the clarity of the light when I was there was nothing short of breathtaking. I really, really did enjoy making that video and bring it to you here on West Country Wanderings. And last but two was another trip to Somerset. It was Barrington Court, a National Trust one. I've got a National Trust membership, and I've been thinking that I haven't used it that often. And it was wonderful seeing the light there, the autumnal light, and bringing you the fruit trees there and the beautiful gardens and telling you the story of the history of that magnificent court with also Strode House nearby. Terrific place. I've got myself a picnic table. Actually, there's a couple of picnic tables here, as well as that lovely stone Millennium seat here. Lots of other benches dotted around this Millennium Green here in Inkberrow. That just leaves two videos, one of which I debated over many months whether to put on the channel at all. Now, last year I did a very personal, what it's called a personal journey, Exminster, a personal journey. It's a title video where I talk about my autism diagnosis and the difficulties I still experienced with mental health and how it's affected me throughout my life and what I do to overcome those difficulties. And I did say at some point in that video that I would be bringing you some more content with mental health, and up to that point of the latest video I hadn't actually done anything with that, and a couple of people had mentioned to me, particularly on Twitter, don't let the subject of mental health go because it's important to us. A lot of people are experiencing difficulties with it. So I was at the back of my mind thinking I do need to do something, and I was trying to do it in a positive way, not just talk about the difficulties I've had, but how I use photography in a positive way to help control my mental health and anxiety and depression. And that was the subject of a video. I was walking about the town of Stroud in Gloucestershire, and I was illustrating that video using the photographs and also the topic of technique of mindfulness. And yeah, it was illustrating that, how I do that on the channel. It's been pretty well received. I knew it wouldn't be viewed a lot, like obviously my canals and railway series and walking ones. I knew it wasn't going to get the big sort of numbers. I do appreciate that, but that wasn't what it was about, because I just thought even if just one person finds that useful, it makes the video worthwhile. And I do hope to bring you some more mental health content in a positive way in terms of techniques, probably in the new year. And I'm thinking of doing on the topic of anxiety and techniques to help reduce anxiety. And finally this month, one that's just been uploaded is a collaborative video. Yes, with another YouTuber again. This time it was with Louise from Southwest Sundays. We went to the city of Bath. Now, you know, I find big urban areas really quite overwhelming. But again, like with Shrewsbury, when you're going around with somebody else, another YouTuber, it does make things a lot easier. It made me feel more relaxed by going around with somebody else. And also the other advantage is because it's Bath and it's a major tourist hotspot, there are a plethora of people going around with cameras and mobile phones and cameras taking photographs, doing selfies, that when you're there with your camera on a stick and you're vlogging away on a phone, no one takes a blindest bit of notice because there's so many other people doing the same thing. You don't get any looks at all. Nobody is remotely bothered by that. The only trouble you get going around busy cities is, he says there's a tractor in the field next door, is that we had a lot of trouble with the leaf blowers and the usual thing, traffic and motorbikes and planes and that sort of thing. But hopefully you found that enjoyable, and depending on how it's been received, as I time record this, I don't know, it's not yet been uploaded. We may do another one together at some future point. Now, highly recommend Louise's channel. She does content like me for the whole of the West Country. She's recently been on a trip to Cornwall, like I'll be doing next month too, and she's done an excellent little short video taste, if you like, at St Michael's Mount and Marizine with all those waves. She had real good fun with the editing there. Like ones of the waves are like they're dancing in front of the camera. It was terrific to see that. But yeah, so well done, Louise, and thank you very much for sharing Bath with me. We really enjoyed, had a good fun day there, and hopefully we'll be doing something along those lines again in a future video. For the wonderful Millennium Green here in Inkberrow in Worcestershire, that just about brings it up to a conclusion here for the month of October already. Yes, I know, it's whizzing away. Haven't really mentioned that much about what's coming up, apart from the fact there will be significant content from Cornwall because I'll be staying down there for a chunk of November. There'll also be something coming up for this, Severn Way. So if it hasn't already, it's 11 Way. It'll be coming up soon if it's not already landed by the time this lands, if you see what I mean. And also probably, almost certainly 12 will have landed in the month of November as well. So that'll be coming up. Hope to do, there'll be some content for railways when I'm down in Cornwall. I hope to get to one of the heritage lines. I don't know which one that'll be yet, but there'll be some heritage line content. And we had one trip to the K&A last time at Sevington Locks. Hope to do another one down on the K&A as well again soon. So there'll be lots of interest in that. And I'll be probably throwing in a Cotswold Walk one in November too, and probably an odd one. There's always an odd one, isn't there? The one that doesn't fit into any definitive category at some point in the West Country Wanderings region that I cover. I hope you enjoyed the vlog today. Love to know what you thought of it. Please let me know. Just as I say, I changed the format, mixed it up a bit, so we've got the videos and the content of where I bid, so it's all been mixed up to make it more variety. Let me know what you thought of that change to the monthly vlog format too. Until next time, West Country Wanderings, take care of yourselves, look after yourselves, and I hope to see you on the channel again very, very soon. All the best for now. Bye-bye.